Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're exploring the mind of a thinker who quite literally shaped how we see the world. We're talking about Aristotle. We're going to trace his ideas all the way from the physical, sun-baked clay landscapes of ancient Greece right up to the foundations of modern science. He wasn't just some theorist locked away in an ivory tower. No, his was a philosophy of the tangible, messy, physical world.
Okay, let's dive into this. How did an empiricist dissecting fish change the foundations of Western and Islamic philosophy? I mean, we usually picture ancient philosophers, right? Just gazing up at the stars, debating these wildly abstract concepts. But Aristotle, he was totally different. His hands-on curiosity absolutely rewired human thought. Let's see exactly where this extraordinary habit of observation began.
Section 1. Origins and the Academy.
So, Aristotle was born in 384 BCE in the coastal town of Stagira. His dad was actually a royal physician to the Macedonian court. And while Aristotle didn't exactly inherit the medical profession, he definitely absorbed a powerful discipline from it, looking closely at living things and asking why they are the way they are. At 17, he traveled to Athens and stepped into the marble-colonnaded Academy of Plato. And he didn't just pass through either. He stayed there for 20 years. Plato recognized his genius right off the bat, famously dubbing the young Macedonian the reader and the mind of the school.
Section 2. Breaking from Plato's Forms. Now, Plato taught that true reality lay in perfect, unchanging forms. To him, an apple in your hand is just a mere shadow of a perfect concept of appleness floating in some ethereal realm above us. Well, Aristotle inverted this completely. He argued that form doesn't float above things. Form is in things. The essence of the apple is woven directly into the physical object itself, right here, right now, even if that apple is actively decaying on a table. Truth, for Aristotle, was firmly grounded in the earth.
Section 3. The Naturalist and the King. After Plato died in 347 BCE, Aristotle headed out to the seafoam shores of Lesbos, and during his time there he cataloged over 500 distinct species. He turned his attention completely to the sea, dissecting fish, tracking the precise development of chick embryos, literally getting his hands dirty. And this wasn't some weird detour from his philosophy. This was philosophy, essentially practiced with his hands. He firmly believed that if you want to understand why a thing exists, your absolute first job is to understand exactly what it is.
Then, in 343 BCE, King Philip II of Macedon summoned Aristotle for a very specific, very important job, to tutor his 13-year-old son. Just imagine trying to teach ethics and logic to a hormonal teenager who is destined to conquer the known world. But that was exactly Aristotle's task with the future Alexander the Great. It's wild, because history rarely gives us such a direct, tangible wire between contemplative philosophy and the raw exercise of world power.
Section 4. The Lyceum and the Cosmos.
Returning to Athens in 335 BCE, he founded the Lyceum, basically amassing the ancient world's first great research library. It was this working archive of biology, astronomy, ethics, and government. And it had a very specific, energetic atmosphere. His students actually became known as the Peripatetics, which literally translates to those who walk about. You see, Aristotle had an incredibly restless mind, and he physically paced the covered walkways while delivering his lectures. Learning under him wasn't static. It was a highly caffeinated, energetic motion.
So the crucial point is, how exactly did this restless mind organize reality? Well, to explain why anything exists, Aristotle proposed the 4 causes. Let's walk through this using a really clear sequential analogy, carving a bronze statue. First, you have the material cause, what's it made of? The raw bronze. Second, the efficient cause, what shaped it? The sculptor's chisel. Third, the formal cause, what is its essence? The planned likeness of a human. And finally, the fourth, the final cause, what is its ultimate purpose? Maybe it's to honor a god. By applying these 4 steps, he gave us a structured way to dissect the existence of, well, literally everything.
But he didn't stop at statues or fish, right? He applied his mind to the spinning universe itself. Behind the motion of the entire cosmos, Aristotle placed this awe-inspiring cosmic backdrop he called the unmoved mover. It's a single, changeless source of perfection. It's not a creator that actively pushes things around. Rather, it's a perfection so absolute that everything else in the universe moves toward it out of pure desire, kind of like how a person is drawn toward an object they love. It's the ultimate anchor to his physical world.
Section 5. Ethics and the Golden Mean.
Shifting gears a bit, Aristotle gave us a practical toolkit for human behavior. He argued that true virtue is almost always the middle ground between two extremes, and this brilliantly illustrates his concept of the golden mean. Take courage, for example. It's not the absence of fear. That's a deficiency he called cowardice. Nor is it an excess of action, which is just recklessness. True courage is the practiced, careful judgment of finding the balance, that golden mean between the two. And crucially, he knew this mean is found differently by each person, in every unique situation, through continuous practice. He totally rejected the idea of virtue as a single fixed rule.
The goal of practicing this balance is something he called eudaimonia. I absolutely love this concept because of how deeply relevant it still is for us today. Eudaimonia isn't about chasing a quick fix of happiness or some fleeting pleasure. It translates much more accurately to a flourishing life. It is the highest human good, and it can only be achieved through the sustained, deliberate exercise of reason and virtue over the span of your entire lifetime. It's not a temporary mood, it's a lifelong pursuit.
Section 6. Exile and Everlasting Legacy.
Fast forward to 323 BCE. Alexander the Great dies, and a massive wave of anti-Macedonian sentiment surges through Athens. Aristotle, being a foreigner with very close royal ties to Macedon, suddenly found himself facing a charge of impiety. This was the exact same accusation that led to the execution of Socrates. Choosing exile over a trial, Aristotle fled. He is famously attributed as saying he left lest Athens sin twice against philosophy. Now, to be completely impartial here, we have to clarify that this famous line survives only in later biographical legends, not in Aristotle's own verified writings. Legend or not, though, he departed, dying the very next year.
Even though his life ended in exile, his ideas, they were just beginning their journey. His historical impact is truly massive. His logic fundamentally shaped medieval scholasticism, but crucially, his natural philosophy was meticulously preserved, absorbed, and dramatically advanced by Islamic philosophers like Ibn Rushd and Ibn Sina. It was their brilliant commentaries that eventually carried his thought back into the European universities centuries later, which ultimately helped spark the Renaissance.
Centuries later, the great poet Dante referred to Aristotle with this profound final tribute, the master of those who know. When you look at biology, ethics, political science, and logic today, you are literally looking at disciplines that still bear the unmistakable shape of the precise questions Aristotle first insisted on asking. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. The next time you break a complex problem down into its practical parts, or search for the perfect balance in a really difficult decision, ask yourself, are you just using common sense, or are you still walking in the footsteps of the first eye of reason? Keep exploring, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.